First off, I want to thank the brave men and women who work behind the wall. I want to thank them on a national level because their job goes unrecognized.
How do they try to turn a guard?
Well, correctional officer. Sorry, I apologize. But correctional officer. How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Ganji, host of Tier Talk. Today I'm going to give the video over to William Young, who's going to be covering part 3 of competitive versus cooperative working environments. And he's going to focus on those who may decide to take rank because they have a personal self-interest. And does that really benefit the team? It's a great video you did, William. Thank you. Now, guys, if you haven't, the show Tier Talks for you brave men and women that work in corrections. So please, subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. The bell is going to notify you every time I post a video. And when we come back, we're going to give the video over to William Young, who's going to talk about competitive versus cooperative when it comes to making rank. Stand by.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Good morning or good evening, depending on whatever shift your seniority allows you to hold. I'm William Young, and the answer to the question is yes. Wait, that's not the answer to the question. Oh. Here it is. Let me start again. Good morning or good evening, depending on whatever shift your seniority allows you to hold. I'm William Young, and I'm going to talk a little bit about competitive work environment versus a cooperative work environment, and which I think we deal in the most, or at least I think that's what Anthony wants me to talk about. I think from my experience, it's a little bit of both, right? We have to have that cooperation to run the facility. Without cooperation, without unity, without an alliance with each other, they would take over and we would lose the facility. So we have to have a certain level of cooperation between different positions, between civilian staff and custody staff, between floors or housing units, or however you divide up your staff, right? There has to be some level of cooperation, and I think that's how it's set up, how the intention is, how it was laid out, right? They want us to work together, and for the most part, we need to work together. On the flip side of that, though, I do think there is a very competitive part of working in corrections, and I think that comes with the individual themselves. I think corrections is kind of a unique environment where we all kind of carve out our own path to get to the end of the race, right? To get to the end of our career. And for some of us, that may be getting to a certain shift or a certain position, or maybe that we get some certain training or something like that, and then we hold on to that, right? And I think that's where that competitive nature comes in, because I think that we do it mainly for self-preservation, for survival in this environment. And I think that sometimes if you see it, excuse me, I got something in my eye. I think that you see it a lot with people who kind of work themselves out of the line staff position and work themselves into like a specialty position, or maybe the training department, or maybe something like that. They did that by being very informed about what they were going to do and about the position that they were going to work, and then they continue to gather information and educate themselves and make themselves more valuable to the county or the state or the at the federal level, whoever they work for, right? Well, the problem with that is that not everybody is getting that information. Not everybody who needs to have that information to help them do their job better is receiving that information, right? Because we're hoarding that, right? We want to be important, so we want to keep that information kind of close to the chest, right? And we want to just stack upon it. So because our fear, right? I think that ultimately, like I said, self-preservation. Our fear is that somebody else can do the job that we're doing, and we would be thrown back into the mix, back into the lion's den, if you will. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that some of it, when you're talking about advancing through the ranks, promotions, all of that stuff is kind of the same way. People want to shoot up through the ranks really quickly, and it's so they can get as far away from the actual job itself as they can. Does that make sense? But here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with that. It's set up that way. It's a competitive career field, right? If you apply yourself, if you go out and you gather information and you do additional training and you do things to make yourself more valuable, and you bring maybe new training, or you bring new equipment or something to your facility, you're going to be rewarded by whoever. You're going to be recognized for the work that you do. And I guess that's okay. And you should be, because you've put a lot of work into that. The dangerous part of that is when it becomes less about making the place better for everybody, making the career better, and we just start being all about self, right? So I just want this information so I can stay out of the housing units, so I can work in this office, and I don't have to work around inmates anymore, kind of thing. Does that make sense? I think we've seen both. The beautiful thing of it is, though, I think that once you get to that point, and you're maybe you've climbed through the ranks, or maybe you've gotten to a position, it helps to stay grounded and kind of keep in touch with the actual job that you came from, right? You can do that by working overtime. You can do that by just maybe if you're in a position to hold meetings with line staff or whatever. Because ultimately, like we talked about, you have to have that information sharing, that cooperation with other staff to be successful, to go home safe at night. I mean, that's the bottom line. We need to work together. We need to have this unified front to maintain the safety and security of our facilities. So I hope that answers the question. I hope I provided maybe just a little bit of tiny information that you can take back to your facilities, and you can hoard it and not share it with anybody. All right, until next time, be smart, stay safe, stay sane, and we'll talk soon.